I know what you're thinking. Oh no, not another what I wish I learned in my 20s video. I'm not going to learn anything because I've seen them all before. Well, why'd you click on this video then, huh? My characterization of a person that probably doesn't exist?
A better you starts today.
Well, it's either 0% or 100%, nothing in between. I don't know why Lebs is so obsessed with that phrase, nothing in between, but it does make me laugh. So I guess I've just proved my point. You know what else I'll do? I will close the outdoor bathroom in my Success Island. That probably made things less echoey. We're surrounded by mountains here. You just can't see it because of the fabulous imagery that I like to show of this crystal clear water that you could have too if you subscribed to this channel and became such a rousing success. But the thing is, yes, you've probably heard me say that what I wish I knew was in my 20s thing 1,000 times before. I'll level with you. They're all good pieces of advice. Every last one of them. Every single channel that does self-help has never made a crap what I wish I knew in my 20s. It usually is just this though. It's like, we should just moisturize. I've got something a little bit deeper than moisturizing. Literally a skin deep thing. But not that much deeper, mind you, because I do think that that is very important. But then again, I'm an extremely shallow man. So, here is my nose being itchy. Now, here is the point. I want you to write this down. And if you don't write it down, then I hate you. And I wish nothing but bad things for you for the rest of your life. Yeah, it's one of those email chains. If you don't do it, the ring girl will get you. So, to prevent that, I want you to pause this video now. I want you to go get a pen and paper. If you do have a pen and paper, I have assumed that you have gotten it and you've paused it. If you haven't, well, again, I don't know why you're watching this. Okay? Waste your life somewhere else. After this video is finished, I want the click. You write down this. Your 20s is for exploring. Your 30s is for refining, and your 40s is for reaping. Your 20s is for exploring, your 30s is for refining, and your 40s is for reaping. Now, what are we talking about? Probably a good idea to flesh that out, because I don't think that one very amorphous word is probably enough to describe this concept. This is an old piece of wisdom. As old as time gets. Let's just go through the general life path of a human being. Now, this is a good life that is lived, mind you. A bad life is probably a junkie still at... I'm just seeing if I've got the pipe so I can do this justice. No, I don't. Just imagine that I have a pipe. In their 40s, they're still like, I'm still exploring, I'm exploring ice. 20 years isn't enough. You can be developmentally stunted. That happens all the time. I know I am. You're looking at a middle-aged man-child, but generally, good life, what's going on? Childhood, teen years, really, you're kind of just shaped by whatever is in your environment. In your 20s, you are conscious enough to start thinking, let me try some things out as to being an adult. Because this is what we're talking about. We're talking about breaking out of the cocoon of adolescence and becoming a butterfly. And so what you're doing in that phase is you're trying on different adult hats. I like how 70s this whole concept is, because they're all about like development of the self, man. That's what self-help morphed into. And now it seems to just be morphed into in the 2020s of just being like, how to tell men to fuck off. And then for men, how to use the word fuck a lot. And I think that I've really nailed that as a man. I do use that word heaps. I never realized that as soon as I started beeping these videos, all of this is like, and so beep, 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 trying to become more of a beep, 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 mature adult, beep. But in your 20s, what you should be doing is exploring all of these adult hats to see which one fits you best. Adult outfits, as we put it. So there is always this thing that I get constantly of like, I don't know what to do with my life. That is a normal thing for a 20-year-old. If you want to be a more advanced 20-year-old, you pick a path, you go down it until you think, I can't do this anymore, and then you move on to another one. Or what happens a lot of the time is, if you do just pick one of those paths, you realize this path is actually pretty good, but I think that I've found a little shortcut in the path and I can move it there. So instead of doing one thing, so say for instance in my 20s, I really wanted to be a radio star because that was a good thing back then, but now that's kind of a joke. And now obviously you've become the our age equivalent of that, which is a social media star, right? But what you had before that was radio. And so I'd be going down that path, I'd be refining those skills, but that hat wasn't fitting. It was getting blown off by the winds of the age, which is what was happening because it was dying in the arse as a medium. And so I moved on to this, but I still had the skills that I was developing for that career path there. And then you can move on to that footpath, one that is more suited to your strides. So that's your 20s. Your 20s is all about finding the path. Your 30s is about staying. I've said very similar things to this in the past, but this is another way of thinking about it. Your 30s is about widening that path, building it up, making it a highway. That's what it's about. And then your 40s is, much like all of those luxury car ads, you as a silver fox driving down it, just being like, all power steering. Look at it taking these amazing edge turns. I assume. I'm pretty sure Suzuki could probably do exactly the same turn. That's what your 40s is about. It's just about reaping 20 years of hard work. But those 20 years of hard work should be put into these two categories. The first category is finding the path that suits you. The second category is building that path out in your 30s. So you're exploring and you're refining. Now, when I'm talking about this, I'm also expanding this out to not just your career, I'm talking about you as a person. This is the cruel irony of life. As soon as you are born, regardless, this is just going to happen as part of being a human. This is part of our human experience, which is that unlike any other animal, we have a prefrontal cortex and we have the ability to visualize into the future and we have the ability to visualize. Most animals don't really have that unless they're dreaming and they're just having the same dream over and over again of like, oh, I'm a dog. There's a really big leg chasing after me that I can't hump. It's the same stupid dreams. So we have a much wider array of abstract concepts that are entering our mind, and as such, our abstract concepts are sort of borrowed by our parents and our surrounding environment, and they kind of instill into you as a person. Now, that is a natural part of life, but the other thing is that while you're doing that, and because you are sort of just this vat sucking up identities, because we still got that baby bird part of just like someone speaking in English, and so we go like, in English. And then if we're born in, I don't know, Congo, and the Congolese will be like, it's the same thing. The same thing. Whatever values and identities and all that kind of stuff just gets kind of like downloaded into your brain. And then you kind of go through the world in that, and you are never going to escape that. That is why when you come to the social media world, you see that all of these different people have very specific identities. So me talking to Spanion's crew is never going to work. I'm never going to be like walking down there being like, this Liverpool hood is slightly less Darrow than the other Liverpool hood. Hoodus. It's never going to work. It's never going to work because I didn't come from that. And the same with you. Yes, that is always going to be instilled in you. But there are elements of your natural being that because of the insecurity of being a teenager, the insecurity of being in your 20s, you're sitting around being like, I'll try this hat on. I'm going to try this hat on. There is nothing wrong with that. That is sort of the decade where that is supposed to happen. What does start happening as a natural course of events is you start becoming more and more comfortable in your own skin. This is why a lot of the time when you see very accomplished 60-year-olds, they're very enticing people, very drawing people. They are the height of charisma. And why is that? Because they are themselves distilled. They are very comfortable with themselves. They have known themselves for 60 years. You're not going to have that in your 20s. This is also another reason, even though it's kind of gross, but this is another reason why, like, in your 30s, it's much easier to attract chicks than it is in your 20s. And you usually end up attracting those chicks in their 20s, don't you? But the reason for that is because you're just way more comfortable in your personal skin. You're much more authentic than you were in your 20s, where you're just like, oh, I'm wearing like a baggy jumper because everyone else is wearing a baggy jumper. And then you ask them, it's like, do you like it? It's like, yes, I genuinely do. And I bet you think that too, don't you? Because you're empty-headed as fuck, dumb zoomers. And so now you're hitting your 30s and you start thinking like, I don't want to wear these stupid jumpers. I want to wear these hilarious 80s jumpers. Jackets. Whatever. The point is you're supposed to wear them in winter. That's why I'm so hot! Because of the background if you're listening to this on audio, which is a beach. So I should probably also explain that to you as well. In fact, if you are listening to this on audio, you might be blind and you might not even understand the concept of visual constructs. So a lot of this video would be extremely useless to you. But hey, thanks for finding it in Braille. So then you move on to your 40s and you are able to reap the rewards of hopefully what you have set in place throughout that entire time. The question becomes then, if this is the natural course of events, and this is a good case scenario, mind you, this is normally what happens to human beings throughout their life, is that like in your 30s, you start coming into yourself and you start really displaying yourself, which is actually what the world needs and wants. They kind of want you to be you, much like the world needs in its function leopards, because that's what the ecosystem has evolved and designed. Much like how they need toucans to sell Fruit Loops, obviously. That is their design in the ecosystem. You have a specific role and function that has been evolved into your ecosystem that is going to be better served the more that you are in tune with your genuine self. Now, this is something that you will hear constantly over and over again in self-help. You will constantly be hearing about a genuine self. Your true self, your true nature, one of these words. This is what they're talking about. They're talking about that point in your life where you start getting comfortable in your own skin and you start, as a result, producing what you personally should be producing, not what you think the world wants. Because really, when it comes down to it, something that you are personally in tune with, like I'll give it to you like this, right? Every single time I've ever written a video thinking like, nah, I'm passionate about this. I want this to happen. At the very least, it's a good video. It might not get huge views, but it's got heart, damn it. And people do come up to me and they will say, that video, I remember that video. Even if it wasn't a big one, they will remember that video because that passion kind of transcends and that truly spoke to someone. And usually those videos have impact. Usually those videos inspire someone, for instance, say with the bushfires, now that I've got somebody that just came up to me the other day, because it's just fresh in my mind, that said, I have decided to become one of those fire planners, like one of those fire hazard reduction planners that plans, this is when we should be burning forest, so that there isn't fuel to burn when there is a wildfire. That was because of my videos where I was extremely passionate about that. Not everybody was very passionate about rural New South Wales politics, but because of my upbringing of coming from those shit kicker towns, I was. And so I kind of brought the nation along with me by their stupidity mostly. But the point is that that was there. You know, that happened because of that. So when it comes to you and your genuine self, the more that you let your genuine self shine through, the more reward and impact you will have on the world. How do you get there quicker? Now, this is something that I truly, truly do wish, look at the title, that I wish I knew in my 20s. And let's be honest, I did know in my 20s, but it was my late 20s. And I was along that path anyway. And I need you to write this part down because this is going to be your lighthouse throughout this decade. So thank God that you are watching this in your 20s. If you're watching it in your 40s, I'm so, so sorry. Your life is over, isn't it? I mean, really, you should just huddle up in a corner and starve yourself so that other people have more resources. You're done. Now, I want you to write this down after I tell you that you can get 3 more of these extremely insightful videos a week at Jordan Shanks. That's right. If you don't sign up, you're an idiot. You are. You are not investing in yourself. I have always thought that you should have a life coach. Everyone should have a life coach, just like you should have a coach in whatever you are doing in life. Like if you want to be like a big business guy, you should have a business coach. If you want to be a big tennis guy, you should have a bowling coach. Oh, surprise. No, you should have a tennis coach, shouldn't you? Shouldn't you? I think we should all just make that crystal clear just in case there is some dumbass out there that was just like, hey, this bowling coach isn't telling me much about my backhand swing. So, you should have one of those. But you also probably don't have the money for it, which is why you're going to pay me less than you would buy a Snickers bar for, you zitty little f***. You shouldn't have zits. You should have me telling you not to have zits. That's what you get when you sign up to Jordan Shanks. You get the cheapest life coach that you possibly can. And I think that I'm pretty damn worth the money. Because normally these guys are worth hundreds of dollars. And the guys that aren't, a lot of those that are worth their hundreds of dollars aren't worth their hundreds of dollars. You know what I'm saying? Some of them absolutely are. Some of them are worth thousands of dollars. Like, it all just depends about how much juice you get out of it. But so many people come up to me all the time and say, my God, that Patreon is worth it. It is worth it. I start my day listening to that stuff because it gives me the tools and concepts to get more out of the day. So make sure that you sign up to that. Now, let's write this down together. So you've got your things, right? 20s is for exploring, 30s is for refining, 40s is for reaping. How do you get through this phase? How do you know which hats to try on? This is the decisions that should be guiding your life. This is ancient sage Chinese wisdom right into your ears. You ready for this? The way that you should be guiding yourself is by asking yourself if the decision will give you peace. You are going to filter your decisions through this question. If I do this, will it give me peace? If I do that, will it give me peace? Now, I need to stipulate this. I remember very vividly having a very deep discussion with one of my greatest friends from high school, and he was doing very well in life for himself, thank you very much. But something was missing. And I remember asking him that question, because this was in my early 20s when I first discovered this. Sorry, my late 20s when I first discovered this. I said to him, is your life giving you peace? Are you at peace with it? He ticked all the boxes that society should give you. He had a well-paying job, white picket fence house, loving wife, kids, dog, done. He's living the middle-class dream. And I said, is this life giving you peace? And he said, no, but I am content. Now, what is the difference between peace and content? Well, I think that you should be able to tell me in the comments, shouldn't you? Basically, just to drive up this stuff. Come on, do it. No, I'm not going to tell you. I'm going to move on to the next point. But if I do that, then I won't be able to remember what my next point is. So I am going to tell you what content and peace is. The difference between content and peace is that if you are content, then it's like, I can live with this. But are you truly living? That's the question. If you are at peace with your life, what is that? This is why I'm always saying that it is far better to fail than to sit there and never try. Why is that always better? It's not even for the fact that, like, you have a much better chance of succeeding if you fail because you actually tried in the first place. It's not even because of that. It's not because of the success in it. It is because you can say to yourself, at the end of the day, well, at least I tried. And that thought gives you peace. Never trying might make you content. It might. But there is a huge difference between these two, isn't there? There is a huge difference between these two in terms of your mental weight. The other thing that happens is, the more that you get peace, the more that you're addicted to it, the more that you follow through, and the more that you become your authentic self. So I genuinely think, and I know this is very hippie of me, but I think that a lot of the time, when you fail at something, that is because the universe is saying to you, this is not your path. You have to go somewhere else. And the classic example that I give of this is, I failed to get into AFTRS for the radio course there. I think I'm pretty good at communicating. I think that they were very impressed by my creativity in my outreach, but I wasn't ticking off the boxes of what commercial radio requires of somebody. And so they were looking at it and they were thinking, this isn't working. No, go away. Now I look back at it and I think that if I did that, I would have dropped out in an instant to basically do what is a glorified TAFE course. It doesn't require you to do anything for my politics degree that doesn't qualify me to do anything. But the thing is that the fact that I did my politics degree, the fact that I went to Korea, the fact that in Korea somebody, because he wasn't speaking English, was able to teach us how politics really worked. It was the only academic that was worth any of their salt. The rest of them were all just a bunch of box tickers like the rest of them. But that guy kind of like found a way out of the matrix. Made me think like that. so was I able to shape a nation as a result. Or at the very least a state. Let's not go grandiose here. It's grandiose enough saying that I shaped a state, but I fucking did. I fucking did, and I nearly died doing it. That was because of that. That was my path. That was my path. So even when you fail, but I tried to do that because it was towards my sort of genuine self. It was what I am supposed to be doing. It was sort of along that path, but I failed. That's fine. My path gets forged in a different angle, but it's still going along that general trajectory. That's what I think happens when you do fail at something. You always should be remembering though, and I do have this. I always had that thought at the back of my mind of, at least I tried. Imagine if I never did. I would probably be, for the rest of my life, even thinking now, I wonder what would have happened if I did go for that. Well, now I know that I couldn't have. That path was closed off to me. That is in itself a peace-invoking thought. So what I'm talking about when I say peace, and this is the other thing, you know in yourself. I can't tell you what peace is to you. You have to know in yourself. You know what that feeling feels like. It is a feeling of neutrality almost. It is a feeling of, I don't feel neither highs nor lows. At least that's what peace feels like to me. It's true contentment in a way. It's not this idea of contentment. That's what you should be looking for. That's what's going to guide you. Why do you think that you get peace when you are going along what is supposed to be your authentic self and discovering what your authentic self is? Why do you think that is? Because there is something inside you, internally telling you, this is what you are supposed to be doing. Now, this is very obvious, this comes from, say, with your body, for instance. This is why I'm always recommending that you eat more vegetables, because I think that most people don't eat enough vegetables. I'm not recommending that you become a vegetarian or whatever, but I genuinely think that most people don't have enough vegetarian meals in their body. And I think the reason that you do want that, mostly, is so your body can actually, instead of you just being like, no, you need meat for iron, it's actually telling you, you need meat for iron at this point. You're not just dumping iron on there, be like, yeah, there you go, more protein the better. You're not doing that. It's kind of making you more in tune with your body. It's more listening to what your body is doing. This is sort of the spiritual version of that body element, where it's you, when you start thinking in terms of what is going to bring you peace and what isn't going to bring you peace, you start moving towards that path. And the more that you move towards that path, the more authentic you are going to be in life. And the more authentic you are going to be in life, the bigger the rewards you will reap. The more you will contribute. And most importantly of all, the more you will be able to say at the end of your life, I did exactly what I was supposed to be doing. This is something that I can say safely, having nearly died, having nearly been bankrupted, having a ton of shit happen to me over that journey. I can say, unlike many of my other friends that are my age, I did what I was supposed to do. I know in my being that I did what I was supposed to do. And that is because of exactly what I am telling you right now. It is because I listened to what is going to give me peace. Not to what the average person was saying, this is what you should be doing with your life. Because they don't know. They have general guiding principles of like, oh yeah, go out and get a TAFE course. It's safe to get a TAFE course. Maybe, but that's not everyone's song, is it? And if it is your song, and then there's other people that are like, go to uni, you should go to uni. When it's just like, but I like being a Sparky. I like the thought of being a Sparky. That is their song, Like, that is what you should be following. And so that is the feeling that you are going to be getting when you know that you are going to be on your right path. So, any major decision that you are making in life, any point in your life when you're feeling out of whack, you should start asking yourself the question, what is going to give me peace? What is going to resolve that? Because that is going to reveal your authentic self. The more authentic you can reveal, the more you reap.